What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. This will be the last video for the week. I promise. Not leave you alone. But again, this process it's complex, right? And I like to break it down into these little steps, make it as easy as I can for you. So hopefully everyone's good so far with it. I've helped a few people along the way, which I have no problem with. Just make sure you are reaching out if you need that help. I'm not going to be mad at you, right? This is my job. My job to help you. Wednesday, here we are. We should have gotten this step done. So we should have all our paragraphs outlined, right? Between the graphic organizer for our body paragraphs and that intro and conclusion outline, we should be good to go, ready to start our draft. So here we are, drafting stage. Again, it's gonna be 9 paragraphs. It's a lot. It'll take some time. That's why I'm having you guys split it up between 2 days and not do a quick write. Something I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'll have office hours from like 9 to 10. I think I didn't put in the plan because I know we got a meeting Friday. I'm just not sure what time that meeting is. So as soon as I know, I'll give you a time for office hours. It's for anyone who needs help. And then I'll be available a lot of the day on Friday. So that day, let's be completing the draft. So for the draft, there's not like a template like we've had with everything else that I want you guys to fill out, just because, it's just going to be paragraphs, right? There's no like template or anything. So for that, you guys will just be doing it on either like, writing it out on paper, which is fine. Typing it out on like Microsoft Office or Google Docs, that's fine too. But yeah, no template, but I do have, like I've done with everything, I have my model that I'm going to show you guys for what that should look like. So with our All About Me essay, for when you went from the outline to the draft, it was really easy because you had to check certain boxes and make sure you have certain information. And then you just had to make sure that you included that, right? So you really could just take what you have in your outline and just copy it and just add a little bit, but it's in the same order and everything. So for the All About Me essay, it was really easy. For this, it's a little bit more complex, just with the way we have everything organized. So what I have is events 1 and 2. And I'm just, for the example, I'm just going to show you guys 2. I'm not going to go through my whole paper. We'll be here for an hour, and I don't want to use your time like that. I just took my events 1 and 2. And again, we got our 3 boxes, okay? So we have the event surroundings, we have the main character's reactions, and then we have the other people's reactions. And what I did was I just color-coded these. So anytime I'm talking about the event surroundings or settings, where we are, what we're seeing, that's going to be in blue, okay? Any of my reactions or words that I use, that's going to be in red. And for other characters, words, actions, reactions, and things like that, it's going to be green, okay? And what I want you guys to see is that here's my paragraph, and it's not just all blue and then all red and then all green, because this isn't an order from here to here to here. It's, again, an order from this box from top to bottom, then from this box from top to bottom. So as I'm telling events in order, I got to skip around between the 3 boxes because I say something, then another character responds to me. So I got to skip to this box, and then maybe something happens in the setting and changes, and I got to skip back to this box, and then another character says something, and I got to come back over here. Totally fine. You're never going to have a good author who writes something out and they just dump 4 sentences about the setting and then they focus on one character and then another. It doesn't happen like that. Life doesn't happen like that. If you just think of a school day and interactions you're having between classmates, it's not like one person talks, says everything that they need to say, and then the next person talks, right? It's just a mix and match. There's exchange of words, there's exchange of actions and things like that. So that's how you're going to tell your story. I'm hoping with this example that can be kind of clear to you guys. So I say, I woke up feeling refreshed and ready to start a summer day. So in this sentence, I have 2 things. I'm given my feelings, so they're red, and then summer day. Now we know that it's in the summer. Okay. That's important for the for the reader to know. And again, I say I felt very relaxed and at ease, so I changed the way that I set it down here. And that, again, is fine too. The house was quiet. Sonny was at his grandparents' house spending the night. Jackie was at work, and Eli was still asleep. So I covered things about the setting and kind of where everybody was. And also in that sentence, we know a little bit more about the setting. Now we know it's summer. Now we also know that I'm at my house. We know where Sonny is. We know where Jackie is. We know where Eli is. What I didn't say is that I was at my house. You know, that saying things, there's a difference between telling the reader what's going on and showing them. So you don't necessarily want to come out and say, you know, it was a sunny morning at my house, right? Just kind of come up with the way in your sentence to drop little hints of where you are without just coming right out and being like, we were at my house. We were at basketball practice or something. You know, if you're at basketball practice, you say, you know, people came into the gym 1 or 2 at a time, something like that, just so people know where you are. So here I'm at the house. So we know where all my characters are, and we also know who the characters are. We know it's me, Jackie, Sonny, Elias. There's another character who I'll introduce later, who at this point in time we don't know. I didn't know who this person was, so I'm not going to put anything here. I put my phone on the charger because it was totally dead, which I never let happen. So that's just kind of something that kind of sets the tone for maybe something's going to go wrong, right? It's a little bit of foreshadowing, because that is something that, you know, I always give my wife a hard time. She always lets her phone die. I never do, but for some reason, the night before I didn't charge it. I don't know why. As I did that, I heard Eli wrestling around his crib, and I went to go and get him up. So now we have another character's reaction. This is what Eli was doing. Good morning, Eli, I exclaimed. Good morning, Dada, was his response. A lot of things that you guys are definitely going to try to do, because people have done this in the past, is just say something like, I asked, you know, or I could say it like this. I said good morning to Eli, and he said good morning to me. Use dialogue. I'm going to say it again. Use dialogue. Okay, so instead of just telling that your character said something, have them actually say it. Now, something that kids have told me in the past is that, oh, I don't remember exactly what I said, or I don't remember what this character said. Who freaking cares? What, am I going to go and ask them when I'm grading your paper? You think I'm going to call somebody up and be like, what were your exact? I don't care. You can make up dialogue as long as it's close, you know, as long as it's straight up, like just not like completely lying or anything like that. But for the dialogue, you don't have to remember what they said, basically is what I'm trying to say. So don't get hung up on that. Just keep it moving. What did they say? What did they kind of say? Paraphrase it. It's fine, because again, I'm not fact checking your story. So if you need to embellish some things and add in a little bit, maybe just to make your story be a little bit clearer or smoother, that's totally fine. Don't get hung up on those things, okay? Just keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. And always use dialogue. Use dialogue. When you guys do use dialogue, it's kind of like you're starting a new paragraph. So instead of just putting it right here, I just hit return tab and then typed it in here. Now, I'm not going to give you guys a lesson on how to use quotation marks, because I don't know how to use quotation marks a lot of the time. They're super confusing, okay? But I have a paper resource that I guess I'll send you guys if you want to use that, which I use every time I'm doing this, but I also just type it up, and then it'll be that little red squiggly line, and I right click on it and it fixes it for me. So if you're on Microsoft Office, if you're on Google Docs, don't sit there and don't say, oh, I don't know how to punctuate dialogue correctly, so I'm not going to use it. Use your technology to help you out with that, okay? And if you're online paper, I'll send you guys that resource. I'll send it to everybody just so you have it. But use that, right? Don't let those things be hang-ups for you. So again, we're just a little exchange of dialogue. Those things are super helpful. Dialogue is the best way to say how the other characters felt. You could describe something in your story, and you can tell me exactly how you felt and what your emotions were. But you can't always do that with another character, because you can't get inside their head. But expressions we make, body language, And then actual language, words that we speak, our dialogue reveals how we felt about something. And we'll see some examples of that. If I'm shouting, like, would you do that? It's revealing of what I'm feeling. I'm feeling anger, frustration, impatience, right? So keep that in mind as you tell your story, because you can't say what your characters felt at all times. But you remember what they said. And through their words, they reveal what they feel. So again, just kind of back to the setting and things that are going on. After getting Eli and Apple for breakfast, we turned on Avengers Infinity War. It had just come on iTunes. We were like really looking forward to that. And then this is kind of how I'm finishing off and feeling relaxation filled the house. Eli and I got to chill and watch one of our favorite movies. We'll talk later in the year about something like foreshadowing, but doing something to say like, oh, everything was so peaceful or everything's going so well kind of gives the reader that idea that things are going to change, right? That's just for right now, but what's going to happen that's going to change that. So again, in my first body paragraph, I should say, we don't know what the conflict is yet, and that's fine, but we do know who our characters are and where they are. We know what the setting is. It's summer and it's at my house. And we kind of know the mood of the story. It's not like super lighthearted, but it's not like super tense yet. But those things always change. So as far as the story plot mountain, think of your first paragraph as your exposition. Okay, we checked all the boxes. We know it's first person point of view. I'm using pronouns like I, me, and my, and we. And again, I talked about the things already: character, setting, mood. Now, with my second body paragraph, now we're getting into the rising action. So in this paragraph, we should know what the conflict is. Because of that, it's a really long paragraph, and that's okay. I'm not always going to say that longer is better, but if you have a lot to say, don't be like, oh, I should only keep it at 6 sentences just because. No, say what you have to say. I cannot stress that enough. And it looks like it's 2 paragraphs or 3 because we have some dialogue separating things, right? But again, using that to reinforce. So I say, my phone had been sitting on a charger in the kitchen. And I thought to myself, I better go check it. So again, blue, talking about some things about the setting and just kind of situating things. Red, because this is literally what I'm thinking. So I left Eli on the couch and did just that. So again, it's more stuff about the setting and kind of the event surroundings, things like that. Here I am. So immediately suspicion filled my body when I saw I had several missed calls and voicemails. And that's something, if you know me, if you call my phone, it better be an emergency. Just because, other than that, just text me. But I did know I had a bunch of missed calls and voicemails. I knew something was wrong. It was immediately when I saw that. And I was like, oh, shoot, here we go. So I tried calling my mom first. She didn't answer. Next, I called Jackie, and she did answer. And here, again, instead of saying, Jackie told me that Sonny got bit by a dog. No, I'm using dialogue. And this is close enough to word for word what she said. I don't remember exactly. But again, no one's fact-checking my story. But again, it's a super easy opportunity to insert some dialogue to improve your story and give a little bit better context. This is revealing. Son got bit by a dog. We're taken to the hospital. She shouted frantically. And give your reader some credit for being able to make inferences and draw conclusions. I don't think I need to say that she was nervous or that she was stressed out. I think the words I chose, we have an exclamation point. I said that she shouted it frantically. I think that should be revealing enough to you. Should be kind of knowing without her or me telling you what she was thinking and feeling. You probably would draw a conclusion that maybe she felt panicked or stressed out or something like that. And you'd be absolutely correct, right? That's my point. The way I chose that dialogue. And this is what we call speech tags. So she shouted frantically. When you're writing dialogue, just a little pro tip, try not to use the word said. Use words like shouted, exclaimed, yelled, whispered. Those things are also really revealing to other characters' feelings. If I just said this person, you wouldn't really know other than their words. But if I use line of dialogue, if I say I'm hungry, she said, you should say she felt hungry, but that's it. But if I said, I'm hungry, she whispered angrily, now you know that she's upset. Maybe she's a little hangry, or maybe she's upset. Or I just said that, but maybe she's mad about being hungry that she hasn't eaten or something. So again, those speech tags, those can also be really revealing for those characters because again, you shouldn't, I don't think, come out and say what the other characters are thinking and feeling because in the heat of the moment, you didn't know that. All we can do is draw conclusions based on what they say and do. Let the reader do that in the story. So I said, I remembered my mom and dad were watching my brother's dog, and I started putting the pieces together. So this is after they told me, and I started thinking like, oh yeah, this dog was at their house, and that's important to know for the context of the story. There's not much else to say about that. Jackie was rushing to leave work, so she couldn't talk because she was working at the time. But I finally got a hold of my mom. So in that one sentence, it switches to what Jackie's doing to what I'm doing. My mom explained that Sonny walked by dog's food bowl, and the dog just jumped and bit his face. This might be something that I turn into dialogue, and I think I probably should. Because again, why would I just explain it? Or why would I just say what she said? I might change that to dialogue. But again, for this isn't, again, it's not set in stone, so I can change it. Going back to Red, so many emotions flooded me at once. Anger, fear, dread, panic, but I knew I had to keep it together. I can't use dialogue for that because that is just what I was feeling. And I didn't say that to anybody. I kind of just kept it in here because there wasn't anyone to say it to. Eli was sitting on the couch, but he was one at a time. He didn't know what planet he's on. So I'm just saying what I'm doing. I rushed and got dressed and started speeding to drop Eli off. And I should add, he was going to my sister-in-law's house, so I'm going to add that in too. And then head to Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. When we left the house, the TV was still on. So I added that in the end to just show that it was a frantic departure from the house. We just booked it as soon as I found out what happened, what we needed to do. And then this sentence, I rushed and got dressed, started speeding to drop Eli off and head to Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. It's kind of a preview of the next paragraph because if I said take 3 guesses of where the next paragraph is going to take place, you would probably be smart enough to figure out it's Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, right? Again, just giving them a little bit of preview and expectation of further reading into your piece is really important. So again, I just did those 2 like that. And I think hopefully you can just kind of see, I think the biggest takeaways that I want you guys to make is you're going to be, as you construct these paragraphs, you're going to be skipping around through these paragraphs like crazy, or through these boxes like crazy to tell your events in order. But it is important to have that good mixture of event surroundings, my reactions, other characters, then back to mine, then other characters, then more event surroundings, things like that. It just makes it a more interesting read. And then anytime you can insert dialogue, do it. Again, it's really revealing to what other characters are thinking, and it does make your text more interesting. I know that probably sounds really cliche for me to say that, but it makes it for a much better read for whoever is reading it. So just keep that in mind. So again, I do want to go back to the schedule and just talk about Friday. Make sure that you guys are dropping in Friday on those office hours. And if there's a different time, if you're doing, because I'm thinking it's going to be 9 to 10, if you're doing something from then and you can't get out until 10:30, just let me know. I'm going to make it work and get you in. But again, this won't be due till Monday. The draft will be due Monday. So that does give you the weekend if you don't get it done. But make sure you got those submitted Monday, because Monday, we're going to the next step. So if you don't have the draft done, you can't do that, and you're behind. And it's, the draft's going to be worth, I think, 100 points. All right, so that's big chunk of your grade. Make sure you guys are getting that stuff done. I think that's it. Any questions you guys have, let me know, and I will see you Friday if you drop in.